Let's go to America. What's happening in the US at the moment?
Oh, a little bit of movement around the Assange case. President Donald Trump has said that should he take office in November, he will seriously consider pardoning Julian Assange and putting an end to the matter altogether. Here he was very recently talking to a podcaster by the name of Tim Pool.
Will you pardon Julian Assange?
Well, I'm going to talk about that today, and we're going to give it very serious consideration.
And here's Albanese just last week saying, well, that's kind of what should happen, yes.
Our position has been very clear. Same position I had as opposition leader I've had as Prime Minister, which is enough is enough. There's nothing to be served by the ongoing incarceration of Mr Assange.
Now, this is actually a massive 180 by Trump. Back in 2017, his Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who was director of the CIA, was in charge. At the time, the CIA was shown to be plotting Assange's abduction and/or assassination. It sounds like some sort of movie, but no, in truth, this did happen. Top CIA officials, now former officials, did up a report detailing these plans and said that they were even asked for sketches or different scenarios as to how Assange might be assassinated. They were so humiliated, so furious at Assange for exposing their war crimes in Iraq. These CIA officials say that nothing was off the table. So like I say, this is actually a massive 180. A lot of people don't remember that, but Trump was in charge back then and they seriously wanted to get this guy at any cost whatsoever. So the fact that he is now, here we are quite a few years later, saying that actually would seriously consider just calling it quits and letting him go home, this is a massive turnaround.
It absolutely is. And at the end of Trump's term, he could have pardoned Assange. He pardoned 73 people, and there was plenty of pressure for him to pardon Assange then, and he didn't. So how do you explain the massive turnaround? What's changed? I wonder if this is the thing that's changed. Trump himself is fighting lawfare. He himself is seen as a victim of injustice. It would be a little bit awkward for him in his current predicament to say, no, Assange must be extradited to America. He must face the full weight of the law when so many people, including many of Trump's own supporters, think that Assange is a victim of lawfare. So is that what's going on here?
I think there's also been such a huge passage of time between the alleged crime being committed and now finally getting potentially towards a trial, right, that I think the public interest in it has just completely evaporated. Like, what you achieve now by continuing to prosecute Assange is arguably minimal, and we know that his accomplice Chelsea Manning was pardoned by President Obama when he was in power. So there's a very strong argument for that pardon to be forthcoming. But I cannot let Albanese get away with this, because can we bring that clip back of Albanese last week, May the 21st, talking about how he thinks Assange could be freed? We haven't got the clip just yet, but let me know when we've got it. Anyway, so he gets up and says, OK, so I think Assange should be freed. And he has talked about this before. The government has given it support. Here's the clip.
Our position has been very clear. Same position I had as opposition leader I've had as Prime Minister, which is enough is enough. There's nothing to be served by the ongoing incarceration of Mr Assange.
Now, that's great, but he then said this about the ICC going after Benjamin Netanyahu a couple of minutes later.
Well, I don't comment on court processes in Australia, let alone court processes globally, of which Australia is not a party.
Nice try at having your cake and eating it too, Albanese. He is right, but I mean, come on, mate, try it on. But there's an absolute argument for Trump to pardon him because it's already been done with Chelsea Manning, and I just don't think people care anymore. Like,
speak for yourself.
No. I mean, in terms of the hatred that existed for Julian Assange, there was a time when Julian Assange has always had a core popular group, but there was a time when Julian Assange was, persona non grata when it came to the US. I just don't think that animosity towards Assange exists in the same way that it used to.
Well, I think that's due to the truth coming out. I mean, they were told that Julian had been instrumental in hacking into the CIA. This was the biggest data breach the CIA has ever seen. It's all Julian's fault. But it was proven in Chelsea Manning's court-martial trial that no hacking occurred. Every single document that was leaked was accessible by Chelsea Manning due to the clearance that she had at the time. And this was a leak like any other, simply handed to a journo. And this is what the US refers to as the New York Times problem, because they said if we go after WikiLeaks, every other major media outlet who are household names in the States have also leaked confidential, top secret, national security type stuff before. That's what journos do when they get a leak. And so I think Trump also realises that even if he is extradited to the States, the case now is paper thin compared to what it was back then before the public knew as much about the case as they do now.
What all of this shows is the power of words from a US president. That podcast interview was 7 seconds. That's all Trump said on the issue, and it's generating headlines tonight all around the world. And, of course,
can I ask you, James, though?
Yeah.
You have previously held forward that Assange should be prosecuted. Do you think he should still be prosecuted?
Are you trying to get me in trouble with Liz?
No, I'm simply asking you the question.
Yeah, I do think he should be. I think that national security is a massively important thing.
And again, that was shown not to be breached. No state secrets were leaked. None of our enemies have picked up anything from this leak that they could then use. Otherwise, the states would be prosecuting to the full extent of the law. But they know they can't even point to an instance of, well, this information then found its way into the arms of Iraq or Afghanistan and they were able to use it. No, none of that happened.
So I just need to finish the sentence. I just think that national security is incredibly important. We're going to talk in the papers about 1,200 Chinese spies on Australian soil. The allegations have not been tested in a court. Assange has spent the better part of a decade or more running from these charges being tested in a court. It should be tried. So if he's found guilty,
because
then
he
so be
knew
it.
the CIA had literally plotted him, you wouldn't go on the run.
Well,
he knows better than anyone what these...
I actually don't have a problem with democratic nations plotting to assassinate people who steal military secrets and make them public. I think
okay.
Well, let's open our eyes.
They're not military secrets,
works.
They're war crimes. Of course, that is their secrets, but they're dirty secrets. And as I say ad nauseum, if you don't want to get done for corruption, try not being corrupt. What he leaked was video footage of civilians being gunned down for no jolly reason.
That was amongst the information that he leaked. I just think try it in court. If he's innocent and the case is, as you say, paper thin, then he'll be found not guilty. You have some trust in the American
and then you have
process.
to try every single media outlet, which Julian always called WikiLeaks, then you'd have to try every single one of them for leaking any confidential information that they've got their mitts on by other whistleblowers.
Well, if that's the case, sure, start with Julian Assange and work from there.